Hey, Trailblazers, this is Jason, your host of the Trailblazing Texas podcast. Before we jump into our latest episode, I've got some incredible news for you. Are you gearing up for your next big hike or backpacking trip? Well, we at Trailblazing Texas podcast have partnered up with Trekker Joe's, the ultimate Texas outfitter, to bring you something I feel absolutely special. Listeners, you of the Trailblazing Texas podcast can now get a one-time 15% off their gear purchases at Trekker Joe's. That's right. Whether you're a first-time customer at Trekker Joe's or a repeat customer like me, you can save big and hit the trails well prepared. So upon checkout, use code TTP15 to claim your 15% discount and in the process support an amazing local Texas business. So happy trails, and don't forget to tell your hiking buddies. Now on with the episode. Welcome to the Trailblazing Texas podcast, where we embark on a journey through our diverse Texas landscapes and breathtaking trails while always engaging with our amazing Texas hiking community. So settle in, tighten up those bootlaces, and get ready for the thrilling tales awaiting for you on this episode. Welcome to the Trailblazing Texas podcast. I'm your host, Jason, and joining us today from the stunning Caprock Canyons State Park, we are honored to welcome Interpretive Ranger Natalie. Welcome to the podcast.
Howdy.
I'm just going to say here on the record, I don't know that I've ever publicly announced this, but Caprock Canyons is my absolute favorite of all time state park.
Because
well, that's actually
a loaded
really
question. Way to start off with that one.
Yeah, that's I need to think about that for a second. But the knee-jerk reaction is I am a sucker for state parks where I feel like the whole park is I have it to myself. And with Caprock, I feel that I can see everything that I would see at Palo Duro, but minus the crowds.
Yeah, because Palo Duro is a lot more busy than us.
Oh, absolutely. And I just love Caprock. And if it's an 8-hour drive for me, I drive up on a Friday, hike Saturday, drive back Sunday. I've hiked. I'm ready for this episode. I got my map.
You got your map? I didn't bring a map, Jason.
Oh, you better run and go get one. Before this podcast, I was thinking about, were there any trails in the park that I have not done? And there are a couple little sections of certain trails that I've not done.
My guess is it's probably around Wild Horse.
So let's see. Yeah, so I've done Wild Horse.
Okay.
What I haven't done is the lower North Prong Trail or South Prong Trail. I've touched it, but I haven't done it in its entirety. I wanted to do that big loop.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, the old ranch road, that one trail that goes way out there. I haven't done that yet.
I have. I got lost.
Oh, did you? That happened.
When I first started. And I called the ranger for help, and I was like, don't you dare tell Dawson that I got lost.
Okay, I'm going to edit that part out. Don't worry. And to the listeners, I don't know if you follow me on any kind of social media. I made so just for the listeners, I was there just 2 weekends ago when I met Natalie to ask her, if there would be an interest to come on the podcast. And there's a video that I made, and there's when you're going to Fern Cave from South Prong Trail, that's some pretty serious elevation, but there's an overlook when you get about halfway up and you're just kind of looking back towards kind of the parking lot or the primitive campsites. And to me, that has got to be in the top 3, at least, most beautiful scenic views in Texas that there are.
And as you said before this, it's a hidden gem for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. You look over that and you just feel safe and alone. protected
Yes,
kind of in a way.
absolutely, absolutely. All right, so are you ready for the big surprise of the podcast?
Oh my gosh, are you serious? What's the
Yes,
surprise? Is it
the
my
surprise.
badger with my sunglasses on it?
No, um, what I started doing about 4 months ago is I call it the lightning round because I don't have anything better to call it, but these are questions that the listeners love. Um, it is you have not seen these questions,
No,
these
I
are
haven't.
surprise questions, yes, so I promise none of them are too hard,
Okay.
but just rapid fire
Yeah,
first words that pop in your mind,
I love it.
and don't worry if you're struggling or there's a lot of time between answers because through the magic of edit, we're gonna be flying through this.
Pew, 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 pew. No, I'm gonna make it play like we're gonna do this. I love games.
All right, are you ready?
Yeah.
First question, favorite trail snack?
Um, almonds with chocolate
Almonds.
chips.
All right. Favorite personal memory that you have at the park?
Oh my goodness, when I saw the bats for the first time.
Y'all have bats?
Oh, we have 500,000 Mexican free-tailed bats.
What? All right, we need to talk about that.
We will, I have it in here. We will.
What does it feel like to watch the bison roam freely across the plains?
Magical. Are these one-word answers?
Well, it's however you want. This is your lightning round.
Yeah, lightning round, one-word answers. Magical.
If you could take any visitor to one special spot in the park, where would you go?
In the park, does that include our rails to trails system?
Yes,
I would take them to Clarity Tunnel.
Clarity Tunnel. All right. What would you say to someone who's never visited Caprock before?
What's wrong with you?
That's what I would say.
No, I'm kidding, I can't say that. What would I say? I said, "What's stopping you?" There we go.
All right. You're on your favorite trail. Is it sunrise or sunset?
It's sunrise because I'm asleep at sunset.
All right. One
Unless
sound.
it's in the summer when the bats come out.
All right. All right. Cool. One sound that defines Caprock Canyons for you.
The birds. In springtime with the painted bunchings and the finches and the killdeer come back, the birds.
All right. For me, it is the expulsion of breath from a bison that's right outside your tent. There is
Or
nothing like
mhm,
that.
or a bellow, and you
Yeah,
can
yeah.
hear it across the canyon, and it sounds like thunder, and that's why people call it thunder. It's like you hear thunder, and it sounds just like it.
Yep, absolutely. Favorite overlook at the park?
Haines,
Bison or prairie dogs? Who has the worst attitude?
bison, 100%. Bison. Prairie dogs, I love them so much. I wanna put them in a diaper, and I wanna just snuggle them and take them home and, stuff them in a blanket on me and just cuddle them. I love prairie dogs.
Best trail for someone who has only time to hike one trail in the park?
It depends on the amount of time they have. Are they
Their time is dictated by that one trail, so what is it?
Yeah, they're gonna go to Eagle Point
Eagle Point, all right.
because you can see a little bit of everything.
Yep, nice. Sunrise or sunset at the park?
Sunrise. Yes.
Sunrise.
I see it every morning. It's magical. It was pink this morning.
Wow. Yeah, it's there is nothing like a West Texas or Panhandle
Mm-mm.
sunrise or sunset.
Nope.
Hardest time you ever laughed teaching on one of your ranger programs?
Oh my goodness. The hardest time I ever laughed. Probably recently with a bunch of school kids. I was kinda testing the teacher's boundaries, and I was seeing, "Okay, what are they gonna say?" I like to mess with the kids. I'm a big jokester, so I lined them up on a line on the edge by the visitor center, and I said, "Hey, kids, what do you think was in this area 67 years ago?" And I put my phone up, and they all went, 6, 7, that sort of thing, and so I
Yeah.
laughed pretty hard then. That was pretty good. Yeah. Another one was at a bat tour. The one at the bat tour was pretty fun because, all this kid wanted to do was catch grasshoppers, and we have all the bats flying out, and the mom is so mad at this kid because she wants him to see the bats, but all he cares about are the grasshoppers, and so I'm laughing at him because mom's mad at him.
All right, nice. If right now you could teleport to any state park besides Texas State Park besides Caprock, where would it be?
Probably probably around, Tyler State Park, because that's I'm from East Texas, and Tyler State Park, we did a lot of stuff out there whenever I was a kid. So
Yeah, nice. Favorite month to be in the park?
ooh, my favorite month to be in the park is definitely April because we have the wildflowers and all the migrational birds. Um, and the weather is not too hot yet. So it's
Okay.
doable and it's just a plethora of red and yellow. It's beautiful.
Bison, majestic icons or unpredictable coworkers?
Both. Both. You can't
All
pick
right.
one.
All right. Funniest wildlife encounter you've ever witnessed or you've ever had?
In the park or ever.
Let's do one of each.
Okay. Okay, so in the park, the funniest, not really funniest, but the coolest was when I discovered a roadrunner's nest. So
What?
roadrunners, I know they're really, really, they're opportunistic, but they usually have their nests in places where nobody's gonna find find them. Have you ever seen a roadrunner nest? No, it's very rare. They like prairie dog towns. So that was my goal for my first year here is I wanted to find a roadrunner nest. So I had been watching the roadrunners in that area for a few months and I knew it was about time for them to start laying eggs. And so it was like happenstance. Like it was magical. It just like I was watching a roadrunner collecting sticks. And I was like, hold up, something's happening. And I watched her build a nest. Well, it took a few hours, but I went up there and I looked at the nest, and the whole time she's clucking at me. So they're cuckoo birds. She's clucking at me, and she's like mad that I'm looking in her nest. There's no eggs yet. She's building it. So I'm like, heck yeah, I know where a roadrunner nest is. I'm going to get to see roadrunner eggs. I'm going to get to see roadrunner babies. I'm so excited. I come back the next day, the nest is gone.
She moved it?
No. So she took it down. I think she took it down because she knew that I was watching her. But I come back the next week, the nest is there again, and this time it has eggs in it. So she thought I
Oh,
forgot about her. And so over the course of the next few weeks, I watch her sit on that nest. I watch her hunt. I watch her sit on the nest. And one day I come back and there's two little babies in there. There were four eggs in all, and there are two little roadrunner babies. And I watched them get older and get pubescent and grow their feathers. And it only took about 2 weeks for this to happen. And then they were gone. Mom was gone, babies were gone, and I'd had one of the park hosts tell me, I see two little baby roadrunners running around eating." And I'm like, "Those them babies? Those them babies?" So, that was one of the coolest things that I got to see were the roadrunner eggs look like baby chicken fairy eggs. They're white, and when they're born, they're just so cute.
do they build the nests in trees or in bushes or on the ground or
Yes, since they're ground dwelling birds, they always
yeah,
built them in the ground, and I really thought that they utilized mesquite trees for that because of the thorns.
right.
This one was not. It was in a cottonwood tree, and it was on the very lowest branch, where all I had to do was, like, step up on the back of my truck tailgate and peek inside.
Oh, wow.
So, it was pretty cool. Now, my craziest or funniest it's funny now. I can laugh about it now. I couldn't laugh about it then. So I worked at Olympia National State Park in Washington, and, I was doing a night I was going on. I wasn't the interpreter. I was going on a night hike. But before you go on this night hike, you have to take bear safety. So you know what to do um, if you come across a bear, a black bear, which there was a lot of them there's a lot of them up there. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you can see them just driving on the road, black bears. Well, of course, I take this class and I'm going on this hike with my husband, my mom, my sister, her husband, we're going on a hike and all of a sudden they're like, "There's a bear, like, right in front of you." So what you're supposed to do is be as big as you can, really, be bigger than the bear, so the bear doesn't come at you and make lots of noise. Well, all logic and reason just goes out your head when you're scared to death of a black bear. I full sprint, turn around, run
Oh,
from this bear. My husband is like, "What are you doing? Like, you're not supposed to do that." I am run in hiking boots, fast as I can, going away, and the bear chases me.
are you kidding?
The bear chased me, but thank goodness other people in the hike, they did what they were supposed to do.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, me, I'm like, "Ah, I'm gonna die." So we laugh about it now, but Natalie, the one that runs from the bear.
So my daughter lives in Washington, and my good friend John lives in Napavine.
Mm, I love watching.
Yeah, oh, yeah, absolutely. And he told me one time him and a guy he was hiking with got between a black bear mom and the cub,
Nope,
and
done.
so so they were hiking, and all of a sudden there was, the cub. He said it was crying and screaming worse than a baby.
Mm,
And so then they got back to back, and they were just like turning, knowing that the mom was coming. And that was to hear him tell the story. It put your hairs on your arms to stand up.
yeah. I mean, same with me. I laugh about it now, but at the time, I mean, I was like,
Yep. Absolutely. If you could ask a bison one question, what would it be?
"Are you hot?"
Man, they gotta be.
Right now, they're happy as can be, they're loving it. They're out there, the weather's cold, they're starting to get their winter coat back. In the summertime, I just am like, I feel so sorry for you guys. Like, I wanna be like, "Are you miserable?" Like, are they miserable?
Do you need an AC?
Exactly, because I know how I get when I feel hot. I get mad, I get crabby, I'm like, "Don't touch me, don't come near me. Where's my
Yep.
Diet Coke?" You know?
Yep.
With them, I'm like, "Are you miserable? Are you hot?" Like,
Yep. Most underrated animal in the park.
ooh, underrated. The raven, common raven. It's my favorite bird, and I think it's one of the most underrated, birds of all time.
Okay. All right. Like it. Most surprising thing a visitor has asked you.
Most surprising.
Mhm.
Hmm, gosh. I have lots of them that are in my mind, I'm like, Why? Like, why would you do that? Why would you ask me that?" But I'm not gonna say those. So surprising, um, are probably gonna be the questions about the bison in general, just about, you know, what they're like, or if if you can ride them,
Yeah.
or
Can we feed them?
can we feed them, or do you know where the bison are gonna be on December 18th?
Yeah.
I No. Let me call them real quick,
Yep.
you know?
Let me check their calendar.
Let me check their calendar, let me call their people, have their people call my people, we'll figure it out.
Yep. Absolutely. Favorite interpretive program that you lead?
That I lead. My favorite, or the ones that the people like the most? Which one? My favorite.
Mhm.
My favorite is gonna be, um, anything, probably about bats, about our Mexican free-tailed bats, usually kid programs that have to do about that, and I really also enjoy birding. So I've got into birding. I am now turning into my mother and becoming the person with the binoculars that is telling everybody to "There's a bird." As a kid, you didn't quite understand it. You're like, "Mom, what are you doing? It's a bird." But now I'm like, "Did you see that American coot on the lake?" It's just like it's the birding walks, it's the birding talks, which is another reason about the raven is I like to really highlight underrated animals. So animals that they don't get much of anything. So I really like to accentuate and highlight on those.
Now I have about an acre in the behind my house, and so I bought one of those fancy bird feeders that have the camera, and for like 3 weeks, not one bird, not one. I put a water feature, so I went and bought a big planter, and
Mhm.
then the little disc things that you usually put on the bottom
Yes.
to catch the water, hold water? Well, I put that on top, and then I have a pump in the bottom and a little, kind of
Uh-huh.
like a clear hose coming up through that little disc thing, and I made a water feature. Man, I got more birds now, you know, s so yeah, it's,
Isn't that awesome?
man, it is so relaxing
It's so
just to
fun.
sit yes, to sit on your porch and just watch the
Watch
birds.
the birds, see the different
Yeah.
kinds,
Yep.
it's so interesting and all their different markings and their feathers and their sounds, all the different types of sounds they make and what do they mean and about their nests, like, oh my goodness, it's a whole 'nother world.
Yep. Absolutely. Alright, if Caprock had a theme song, what would it be?
Well, now it's the stars at night, are big and bright, um, or, there's a really funny YouTuber, I don't know his name, and he has a song on Spotify, The Guy on the Buffalo. It's the guy on the buffalo.
I haven't heard that one.
What? Don't ride the buffalo. Don't do it.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, but, probably deep in the heart of Texas. That's the first one that came to mind.
Alright, I like it. Are you ready for the most important question of the podcast? This and now, before you answer, this if you get this wrong, and no one has got it wrong yet that I've asked this question, it will definitely it'll impact the duration and the direction of the podcast. So
Oh,
are
boy.
you are you ready to take the challenge?
Okay, I mean, do I have a choice now? No.
Well, yeah, I guess not. You signed the dotted
What?
line. So,
Alright, what?
what is your favorite of all time Texas hiking podcast that you've been a guest on?
Okay, this one, obviously, the Trailblazing Texas podcast.
Yes. I am batting 1,000 with that,
No wonder
with that
nobody's
question.
missed that one.
Hey, yeah, I mean, not even I don't think there's been one guest that even batted an eye. It's Trailblazing Texas podcast, and it's,
That's the
as a
one.
host, it warms my heart.
Oh, that's great. That's cool. That's cute. I like it, Picasso.
Yeah, and, that's the end of the lightning round. I definitely thank you for participating and being a trooper. I love it because, it kinda breaks the ice. I think for me, and the goal of it is, first off, for the listeners to get to know a little bit about you, but also just to let the guests know that this is all about fun. We're gonna have a lot of fun. This isn't perfection. This isn't Joe Rogan, and, so yeah, so it's my favorite segment of the podcast,
That was
so
fun. I enjoyed it. I like the first thing that comes to your mind games. It's always fun.
absolutely. All right. Before we jump into the next segment of the podcast, which is really to get to know you as a ranger, do you have any exciting, spectacular Caprock news that you want to share with the listeners?
Of course I do.
All right, let's hit us.
November 25th, after 7 to 8 years of building up and, creating different types of, um, um paperwork and getting all the right fixtures that we needed, um, tailoring the whole park's lighting management system, getting astronomers out here, getting, um, doing all the different types of outreach events. We are now an international dark sky park. So we're not just a Texas state park anymore. We are international for our dark skies because we are Bortle 2 and we are at 95% compliance with the dark sky, um, International Dark Sky Committee. So
Wow.
it took about 8 years to get that done. So when we first started, we had meetings with Texas Dark Sky and Amarillo Astronomy Club and places in Lubbock, and it took years to get all the right fixtures in place, to get all the right management plans in place, to do the right outreach, to get the city of Kittiquay on board as well. So it took and this was before I was even employed here. So they were doing this long before me. And then when I came on board, it was kinda like the very end of it, and we were kinda getting a little bit of, um we were getting discouraged, we were getting frustrated because things have changed over, after 8 years of trying, and then you have to go back and redo it. We had to go back and send all our letters, and we had to go back and make sure our support groups were still on board, and then we had to build the application, which the application ended up being about 120 pages long, and that's something that I did with the help of a awesome park volunteer named Tom. He really helped me, so it just a lot of dark sky measurements, a lot of lighting changes, and now we can say, "It's done. We're an international dark sky park." I don't know if you know about the Bortle scale, but 0 being you can't see your hand in front of your face, and 10 being New York, we sit at a 2. So I think Copper
Oh,
Breaks is also a 2. I think at Shannon Rock is a 3. So I think we're maybe the 4th or 5th state park in Texas that, is now an international dark sky park.
so just real quickly, does that mean or could that lead to more funding for the park?
I don't know how that works. I don't know
Yeah,
how the funding part of it works, it being a dark sky, but I don't know because they're completely 2 different, separate. I don't know from any of the interpreters, like, that are at other dark sky parks. I don't know if they receive funding for the Dark Sky Initiative. I honestly don't think so, but
no.
I'm not sure.
And so, well, do you think, like, on my way up to Caprock a couple weeks ago, I stayed the night at Copper Breaks.
Mhm.
Will you Do you think your park will get, like, a museum like they have?
Their little
That
planetarium,
Yeah,
it would be awesome. It's definitely on my wish list of something that we could eventually do for the park, having a little planetarium out here to really accent and being able to see all the different things the night sky has to offer, you know?
yeah,
But that's kind of to do that, it would, take years, so many
yeah.
years. So but if I could snap my fingers and have it, for sure, that would be awesome, and I'm in my process, of learning a lot more about the night sky. I really have to buckle up and put my educator research boots on and, do some dark sky learning because I need to be well versed in that.
So, not this trip, but the trip before that, I took my first astrophotography
Mhm,
pictures
mhm.
using my Samsung at South Prong Primitive Campsite, and, they turned out spectacular from a cell phone.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes, that is crazy how well.
If you were there at that time, the Milky Way was still, right on the edge. I mean, you were
Yeah,
right on the edge. You were there, and you
yep,
probably got some blue and green in there with your cell
yep,
phone. So people
absolutely.
people doing this with their giant cameras that are like the size of me, you know, getting that astrophotography and doing, hours worth of it to get one picture. It's pretty cool. I mean, my first star party out here with our astronomer, I was pretty blown away. I had never done anything like that before.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, so it was a long time coming, but it's done, and our managers are super pumped up. They're super glad. So that was nice to be a part of that.
Absolutely, and at the end of after the podcast, run out there, give everybody a high five from the Trailblazing Texas podcast and tell them congratulations.
I will. I also gave them all a sticker,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
and then I saved them for myself to put in my kids' stockings.
Oh, nice. I love it. I love it. All right. So to me, one of the best parts of the podcast is getting to know you a little bit more as a ranger.
Okay.
So are you ready for this?
I am. I'm
All right.
ready.
So how did your career with Texas Parks and Wildlife begin? And then what brought you to Caprock specifically?
Well, you're looking at the beginning. So I lived in East Texas for a long time, and we moved to West Texas, and I was my degree is actually in literature. So I was an ESL, ELAR, and even an art teacher. I did teach art in public schools for a while, but we moved here because my husband's from here, and so we decided when I got pregnant that I just didn't wanna live near Dallas. I didn't wanna do that. So we moved back here, and I was a stay-at-home mom for about 9 years, and that was the hardest thing that I've ever done in my life. This is vacation. Being a stay-at-home mom was super hard. So what I did was, I taught ESL to kids in China, overnight, and then my kids weren't in school yet, and they were with me during the day, so I was very, very sleepy. And that was a hard, hard thing to go through, especially with my kids. One of them has health issues. So, I mean, it was just so difficult. And then they both got old enough to go to school. And it was about that time. And of course, I knew my superintendent. I'd lived here for 9 years. I knew everybody. It's a small town. Everybody knows everybody. So, and this position became open because the interpreter at that time, Leanne Pig, she was promoted to assistant superintendent. So this job became open after a few people came in and out of the position. They were trying to they weren't really looking to bring Caprock or to be cap in this part of the town forever. They just kind of used us as a stepping stool to get
Right.
where they wanted to go in their career. So after that, I saw this post came up that they were hiring for the interpreter. And I was like, because I had been applying for about a year to jobs because I just could not teach at night anymore. I couldn't do it. I was exhausted. The only sleep I was getting, was their naps. And sometimes they didn't even nap. So, it was just really bad for my health too. So I was like, "You know what? I need a daytime job, preferably something online if possible, because we're in the middle of nowhere and I was not about to move." So we get to that point. I mean, I'm applying for everything. I was a professional scorer for like the STAR testing. I did that for a while and I graded papers. But that was just seasonal. So after that I was like, I mean, I applied for everything under the sun. I mean, I'm talking like CVS customer service. I'm talking, private tutors. I applied for Scholastic, like just stuff that I was like, just give me a job. And then this came open and I was like, why hadn't I ever thought of this before? Like,
Yeah.
I grew up as a park baby. Like, I grew up in a science family. Every single room in our house growing up, I had like 3 to 4 tanks of different animals. My mom's a birder, my brother's a chemistry teacher, my sister, she works for an international school in Japan, science academy. We're just we're it was like my whole life was everything was outside in nature, and I was like, why didn't I read the description and my immediate thought was, is this a job? I was like,
Yep.
do people get paid to do this? And so I applied, and it helped, to know people in this area and to be a local really helped. I think that we had about 58 applicants. And so
Oh, wow.
I know, and I got in.
Heck
So
yeah.
I just, public school, I didn't want to go back to that either. So I kind of just really landed the lottery. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't come in like most people, starting as a volunteer and moving up into CSR and then moving up. I got in like right at the right time. I have the right job. I'm around the right people. It was just like it was magic,
No.
honestly.
How long have you been there?
I got hired on in January 2025. So January will be 1 year.
Nice. So, what is something about the park that took you by surprise the first time you saw it?
I mean, everybody wants me to say the bison. But I have lived here for 10 years, and so seeing the bison, I saw it weekly. Me and my kids, we were always out here. Me and my husband, we were fishing or skipping rocks. That was the thing my kid really liked to do. He wants to go to the state park and skip rocks. I'm like, there's so much cooler stuff to do, but okay. So we would go skip rocks. But however, I really love um 2 things. Was I love the birds. When I first saw painted buntings out here, that was a big deal because I remember them being so coveted as a kid. My mom was like in East Texas, like, "Oh, there's a painted bunting. Everybody stop what they're doing, be real still and look at this bird." And we would watch it until it would fly away. So seeing the painted buntings and hearing the painted buntings and learning their call. And so I heard the painted buntings and saw them probably daily for weeks in the
Wow.
summer. And that was fantastic because I love to call my mom and be like, guess what I'm looking at? And she'd be like, you know, but also the first thing whenever I started working here, because like you, I didn't know they were bats until I started working here. And then I had to learn about the bats and I went out and saw them. And the first time I saw those bats come out, it was like my whole persona changed. I went from being, obsessed with rodents and mice to being obsessed with bats. And to see them all flock out, 500,000 of them blew my mind. I thought the coolest thing, and not just it's not like how it is at Carlsbad, or Cathedral or whatever, like, you see them fly out from a tunnel from far away. We have our Clarity Tunnel from an old railroad system, and you can stand at the base of the tunnel, and you can use red lights, those are safe for bats, and your feet from these bats flocking out in front of you, dodging each other, it's just I was literally standing there like, "I can't believe I didn't know this was here."
No. So what do you think makes Caprock special compared to other parks in your region besides the bison?
Besides the fact that it's so rural. I know there's probably a lot of state parks that are away from everything else, but the fact that, people have to plan to come here. It's not like places like Palo Duro or places that, like, are in Abilene where you can have a day and you don't have to worry about food or you don't have to worry about drinks or, whatever, because there's no restaurants really around here except for a little mercantile. There's no, fast food drive-throughs unless you want all subs, so you really have to plan and want to come to Caprock. And so the visitors that we get are really gung ho for Caprock because they have made it a plan to come out and not just drive through. We're not on an interstate. So, and the fact, that it's my home. I've lived here for 10 years, 11 years almost now. So, and my husband was born and raised here. So he has stories, it just makes it special because he has stories of whenever he was in elementary and he did like Caprock campers and he would come out, and they would camp overnight. It was like a treat that they got to do because they reached some goal or attendance or whatever it was. And also, I could go on and on about this. It's because we have so much. So people, they look us up and they're like, okay, cool. They have geology and they have bison. I'm so glad I like to research and learn things because we have so much at Caprock in comparison, I think, to other state parks. Because when you pull in, of course, automatically you see the prairie and you see the bison. You check in and then you're going down in the canyons. And we have our Folsom site. We have our bison jumps. You're learning a park history. We're talking Paleo Indian, Folsom sites. We're talking about Comanches. And then all of a sudden you have Charles and Marianne Goodnight history. And then all of a sudden you go into Prairie Dog Town and you see the prairie dogs. And then you start learning about Lewis and Clark. And then you start learning about westward expansion and manifest destiny. And then all of a sudden you start seeing a badger in a hole. And then you see a burrowing owl. And then you drive a little further and you're like, oh, look at all these birds flocking overhead. Cranes come through here. Didn't know that. Oh, I just saw a bobcat run across the road. Oh, there's a coyote. We also have mountain lions. Did you know that? And audads. So it's just a constant, just a pull of history and information and animals that we get to enjoy and learn about.
Well, so you guys have mountain lions?
We do.
Wow, that is my dream in the Guads, is to be on a ridge and just spend the day, looking around down the canyons and stuff and spotting a mountain lion.
Mhm.
That's
We've had people that have
wow.
seen them. I've seen bobcats and I've seen tracks of mountain lions
Yeah.
down, by our tributaries and stuff. So, they're here.
Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Wow. This is one of my favorite questions. And it's funny that every time I ask it, whether it's a superintendent or park interpretive ranger, it's always the same answer. But can you describe what a typical day looks like for you out at the park?
Yeah, I can, and I guarantee you it's gonna be different than everybody else because my
Oh,
days
okay.
because my day starts with waking up my kids and having to feed them, having to automatically decide what's for breakfast. you
Yep.
know, making sure their teeth are brushed, making sure they have clothes picked out. Did they do their homework? Did they have it in their folder? Did you read your AR book? Did you make your AR test? This all happens within a 30-minute period at 6 o'clock. Okay, give me a break. Okay,
Yep.
all that happens, and I have to take them to school, and then I get to come to vacation. Then I get to come to work,
Yep.
and it's just the best thing for me mentally to be here.
Yes.
It's the best thing for me to be here mentally. And so I get to work and the first thing I do is I have a cup of coffee and I talk to everybody and make sure they're doing good and I tell them what I'm doing that day. We have a meeting if we have to have one, if one's been scheduled. And then usually the thing I do is I have a morning event or a morning hike or a morning thing called Coffee with the Bison. And I make coffee and I offer it to guests coming in so they can also have a perky, happy morning. And then if it's our busy season, I am outside in the park setting up and doing programs, or I have outreach and I'm going to schools or to different clubs or discovery centers and doing whatever, outreach I need to do, whether it's about, the animals or the sky, or I recently did one called Women Who Science, talking about different women in the science field and how they contribute and or even going to the Charles Goodnight, ranch house, and or whether it's dressing up as Mary Ann Goodnight and pretending to be her and really educate the people about this lovely Tennessee woman who, who saved these, Southern Plains bison from extinction. So, and then vacation's over. Right? And then I have to go home and I have to make sure the kids do their homework and I have to make dinner. And then all of a sudden, nobody knows how to throw their trash away. So I get to throw away everybody's trash and everybody's go-go squeezes or their apple
Yep.
juice or whatever. And then I'm like, hello, can I get some help around here? And then we have dinner. And then I'm like, all I want to do is lay down and decompress.
Yep.
I want to go back to work.
Work. Yep. Nice.
And then I didn't even mention the volunteer thing. I'm the volunteer coordinator as well. So I'm working with the park hosts and I'm planning
Ay.
their schedules and I'm talking with them and making sure they're okay and making sure they have their assignments and
Wow. That's a lot.
you're like, "Listen, I know when you came here," and Missy was probably like our CSR, she was like, the lady that you probably wanna talk to is Natalie. She's our interpreter. She's the one that you'd wanna talk to about this." I don't know why she sent me the craziest, weirdest person on the whole staff. I'm like, "Yeah, that's who you wanna represent Caprock? Cool. I'll get on that."
No, I asked, I go, "Can I speak to the interpretive ranger?"
"Oh, you asked for the
Like,
interpreter. That's your problem. That's your
yep, that's on me. I love the answer. Love it, love it, love it. If you look at the staff and really what it takes to balance that, the recreation aspect of the park with also protecting this
Mhm,
fragile environment, like,
mhm.
how do y'all do that?
Oh, sometimes we don't. We do, but, the people are gonna do what people wanna do. So
Yeah,
all we can do is talk to the people, do the outreach, um, talk about protecting trails, talk about leave no trace, really enforce these and also show people I like to show people online too what happens if these trails aren't protected or if this red rock has graffiti on it or like how can we also keep it clean and keep it perfect for the animals but we can still enjoy it at the same time. So it's mostly with outreaching outreaching to these people and really going to them because you can sit in the office all day and have somebody walk up to you and you'd be like, yeah, but remember, throw your trash away and leave it how it was. Don't take any flint or anything. They came to you. It's different when you go out to them and you talk to somebody before they go on a hike and you say, hey, this is why this is important. And you're there with them. Then they're like, oh, yeah, you remember that ranger, what she said? It doesn't get in a clumblumbled mixture and mess of everything to remember at the front desk. So outreach on those things really, and also with kids, visual aids, programs about what it's like when we don't take care of what we have and what it could turn into. And I kind of like to relate that back to being your house or your home. So I tell kids all the time, okay, you come home from school, and when you're there, when you walk in your house, you have a bunch of random people in your house, and they're eating all your food, they're stepping on your couches, they're not throwing their trash away, they're sleeping in your bed. Like, how would that make you feel? Right?
Yeah.
And you have to make things resonate, and you have to make things relate back to these people, or they're gonna be like, "What's the big deal if I just pick this up? What's the big deal if I just trash this over there?" Or whatever. You have to make it resonate with them, or they're not gonna find it important. So going to them and doing that outreach is probably how you balance, or how to reach people about why it's important to do that, why it's
Yeah.
important to protect the environment that we have.
Speaking of protection, can you talk about and educate a little bit the listeners of the connection the park has to the Texas state bison herd?
Yeah, we are the Texas State Bison Herd. You're looking at it. No.
Yeah.
So, we are the Texas State Bison Herd. So, we are the home of where they live, the official, direct descendants, I should say, the living legacy of our our famous cattleman, Charles Goodnight, and his wife, Marianne, or Molly Goodnight, who helped save the Southern Plains bison from extinction in the 1800s. So the bison disappeared from the Great Plains, and Goodnight and his wife Marianne, they rescued a small group of orphan calves during that time, on their JA ranch. So during this 1800 period, of course, that's when we start learning about the manifest destiny and westward expansion and industrial revolution and all that stuff. And how does bison have anything to do with that? Well, that's because we were exterminating the bison. We were killing them for their hides to make these machine belts. And, but the hides, they only really liked the big hides. They wanted the mama hides, the daddy hides. So they would kind of leave the calves to starve. And so we went from millions of bison down to a couple hundred over a 20, 30-year period. So the Charles and Marianne grew up this herd to be about 300 head. And then in the 1900s, we were gifted them, about the 36 that were left. TPWD was gifted them, and then they were moved to Caprock. Um,
Wow.
yeah. So we manage the herd on, I think we have about so we have 14,970, no, 14,097, I think, acres in our park that's completely fenced in, and that is their free roaming home and native habitat of these southern plains bison, um, allowing visitors to see and to, experience them roaming freely across the land that they originally did, in the 1800s before they were almost, almost exterminated.
So here, I have a question, and I always never knew the answer to, but every time I'm in the park,
Mhm.
I'm not going to mention the areas, but there are a couple of areas where you always find the strays. So the loners that are just kind of out on their own,
Mhm.
and I love it because I stay away from them and
Good
I
idea.
watch them. And when we were hiking out just 2 weekends ago, there was one on the trail, maybe about, how far should I stay away? 50 yards?
Yep.
About 50 yards
There
ahead
we
of
go.
me, and I didn't get any closer,
Mhm.
and, he was just moseying on. So are these young bulls that have come into maturity and they get kicked out, like, by the main bull of the herd? Or are these, like, the old guys that kinda get kicked out of the herd? Like, how?
Yeah. Yeah, you're on the right track. So, there's many different reasons why that happens, and it's completely normal. So here, we right now, we like to keep it about 300, inside of our herd, but inside this one herd, there's multiple different family herds that stay
Okay.
together, and you'll see them together all the time. A few mamas, a few babies, especially right now, they stay together. And now, the bulls, When it's not rutting season, they're down in their bachelor pads. They have no reason to be around. They
Okay.
don't have a reason to be around these women anymore. They, they already got what they wanted. You know,
Mhm.
all the cows now are pregnant again. So they kinda go down into their bachelor pads for the remaining of the winter, up until
Okay.
it's time for them to rut again, in the summer. So but you'll kinda see some lone ones that are way down, like what you're saying in South Prong, probably down laying down on a trail, and this is because most of these are old, old bulls that don't have it in them anymore, and they don't go into a herd to rut. They don't wanna rut anymore, they're old, they're done. They stay down by themselves, and they're just living their life out down there by themselves.
Okay. But I mean, I love it because, one time I was at North Prong and in the primitive campsite, my wife forgot something. So I was hiking back to the parking lot.
Mhm,
I rounded this little corner and this bush was blocking him from seeing me and me from
mhm.
seeing him. And I rounded a corner and I was like literally 6 feet from him.
Mm.
And I screamed, he screamed,
We all
everybody
scream for
screamed.
ice cream.
Yes, and so I just kinda, like, froze.
Mhm,
He froze, and, they can't really turn their head, but you can see, like, the white of his eye kinda in the front, and he
mhm.
was looking back at me. He didn't move, I didn't move, and I just slowly backed up,
Yep. You
and
did the
then
right
he
thing.
kinda just moseyed on, and then when I was coming back from the car, he was on the trail again, and I'm like, "Alright." So I just stood there, and he
Oh,
stood there looking at me, I stood there looking at him at least 50 yards away, and, waited for about 30 minutes, and we're just looking at each other. Then I started to take a couple steps forward because 'cause I'm like, "My wife's gonna be calling the rescue thinking that I died or something," and then he just started kinda got off the trail, and it's
and
so magical
it
to.
is, and sometimes when they're like that, sometimes they will be shunned from a herd because they're either hurt or we even have a blind bull,
Mhm.
because or they're sick. So even some cows, they'll get shunned from a herd too if they're too old or if they're
Okay.
sick or if they're hurt or something happens, the other moms kinda shoo them away, like, "We don't want you anymore." And it's so sad, but 'tis the nature way.
And I also think, and I could be way wrong, but just looking at my interactions with them, and let me tell you, it's 1,000%, almost like the most important question of the podcast. Same answer, but it's 1,000%. If you're in some certain campsites, these loners, they are, they're the bachelor pad, whatever. These bulls are going to come to your campsite and hunker down. And I think a lot of times they, especially probably the old ones, they use it as a protection because maybe they know that coyotes aren't going to come through camp or mountain lions aren't going to come through camp or, and they use the humans kind of as a protection. Um, but yeah, I mean, you get out of your tent at 2 in the morning to, to
Stay in your tent.
yeah, and, you have your light on and you're looking about 20 yards away and that one little eye is looking back
Yep.
at you and you're like, "Oh, here we
Nope,
are."
I'm in my tent. So,
Yeah,
you
oh,
mentioned things like, coyotes and mountain lions and things like that. People ask me all the time, "What is the predator of the Southern Plains bison?" And the answer is time. Time is the only
yeah,
predator. So, mountain lions, they would much rather go after something like a coyote or a raccoon. They know that that bison is gonna put up a fight no matter how
no,
old or how sick. What about coyotes? What about a clan of coyotes? I'd like to see them try,
yeah,
especially a mama with her baby. So really, um, these bison don't have any predators, but I'm not 100% sure if they even know that.
yeah. Yeah, and so we were at North Prong and there were a pack of coyotes. There were
Mhm,
3 groups of them, and they were probably 40 or 50 yards from the tent talking to
mhm.
each other. And,
Brrr.
yeah, it was. And this last trip, I don't know if we said it yet, but there was a bison literally 6 feet from my tent, and he was just kinda there was a tree between us
Mhm.
and some cactus, and he was on the other side of it, and I'm literally panicking like he could knock this tree down and and, go through the cactus. No, and crush me, and I don't wanna be the butt of jokes. So I'm like, "Oh, this isn't good." And you could just hear that bellowing, that breath, that the just
Yeah.
it just
It's
and
literally like you are around, you're in a living museum. It's
yeah,
kind of like
yeah.
how I like to describe it to people. Like, if it wasn't these bison would have been extinct if it wasn't for this couple, in the 1800s, you know? So it's like you're getting to camp in an area that is with however many creatures that could have been extinct at one point and almost did go extinct. But we always tell them, if you know there's a bison outside your tent, just stay in your tent.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I was just thinking, like, this is not how I wanted to
This
go.
is
It but,
oh,
I think there's just also a respect the bison have for the campers and the campers have for the bison because, he just kinda walked through there and,
yep.
wasn't, like, hitting the tent or trying
Well, people don't know
to
this, but people are really afraid of bulls because they're bigger.
yeah.
But I would rather be around a bull than a cow any day, especially a cow that has recently had a baby.
Oh, yeah, I think the first time that I ever went to Caprock, a couple of days before we left, there was a lady walking on the trail right next to the herd and the mamas and the babies, and that mama, she has it on video walking by, and the mother put the head down and then
Mhm.
just charged her, hit her, knocked her down. I don't
That was a few years ago, wasn't it?
yeah, she was hurt, but, there was no, like, horrible damage. And I think they even didn't they bring in a helicopter to get her out?
I'm sure.
Not
I'm sure.
because of life-threatening injuries, but because that's the fastest way to get her to a hospital.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then
The helicopter is the
then
only. I mean, you have to.
yeah, and then she made a video, on at the hospital, but, like, why would you walk by
I don't know.
the
I
the
don't know.
herd? And she was within feet, like, I
Oh
don't
my
know,
lord.
20, 30 feet, probably max, just walking on a trail right past the herd, and so,
That's
yeah.
why we have the rules, that's why we have all the signage. You just those 50 yards is important. People think they just
Yeah.
don't want us to have fun, they just don't want us to have no, no, these are wild animals.
Yes. So, if you kinda look at your job over the last year, what do you think has been the most rewarding part of it?
Um, the most rewarding part, I think, would probably have to do with the volunteers. So, uh, a lot of them I can't talk about due to, like, privacy and HIPAA stuff, but
Mhm.
different types of park hosts coming through, building relationships with them, helping them. They need us just as we need them, and they need us too. So, being able to grow those relationships with park host or ambassador or volunteers that come in through the park, that's pretty rewarding and pretty special. I recently just got a whole box full of books from one of my old park hosts that sent it to me because they know I like to read. So that was special, and it's just these relationships that you build and that you're going to keep for the rest of your life. So I mean, kids are cool too. Helping the kids and getting to influence the kids who they're stuck inside on their Nintendo Switch or they're playing Fortnite or doing
Yeah.
whatever, and to kind of show them things like as I was talking about earlier about how I like to really enunciate on the animals who kind of get a bad rap. And so being able to teach things, about the snakes and the lizards and the frogs, grasshoppers, mice, ravens, bats, all these different types of creatures that we have, to where they're the ones that are going, you know, outside to play and their moms have to check their pockets before they have to come in, make sure they don't have any grasshoppers or, garter snakes in their pockets at home. So, I mean, kids are cool too. That's pretty cool. And then, having kids come back or like getting a letter in the mail saying, "Oh, we love this about the park and you taught us about
Oh,
things like that." So that is pretty rewarding. And I think, if I didn't have kids, I wouldn't think it's as rewarding as what it is. But being a mom, it kind of resonates different. Like, if somebody influenced my kid that way, I would be, like, so grateful, to have somebody like that. So, I mean, kids are cool too, but,
No.
yeah, volunteers and kids for sure.
So this is going to be interesting because, again, to the listeners, this is my favorite state park in Texas, and I've been to about 30 of them. So right now, Caprock is way up on the list. But you experience a lot of visitors that are experiencing Caprock for the very first time.
Yeah.
And what is their usual reaction when they see this canyon landscape? And that wraps up another exciting episode of the Trailblazing Texas podcast. We hope you enjoyed the episode today, and stay tuned for our next episode where we will pick back up where we left off and guarantee to uncover many more hiking gems and share many more tips to enhance your experience on the trail. Until then, happy trails and happy hiking.